Hey, welcome to this lesson on specifying points. In this lesson we're going to talk more about points and certain types of points so that we can use them more specifically later when we're talking about more complex geometry things. So essential questions for this lesson: what can we use points for? What does collinear mean? What does coplanar mean? And what is an endpoint or a midpoint? And finally, what is a vertex? So we're just going to cover those things. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to use just the basic language and labels to define geometric figures. So collinear points are basically just points that lie on the same line. Co means together and linear means line. So if points are together on the same line, then they are collinear. For example, points x, y, and z in the figure are collinear. Coplanar is very similar to collinear, except for now we're talking about planes instead of lines. So coplanar points are points that lie on the same plane. Lines can also be coplanar. There are two properties that can determine a plane. The first are regarding points. If I have at least 3 non-collinear points, then they can determine a plane. They can make up a plane. So A, B, and C. It's important that they are not collinear, because that's what determines this specific plane. If C was on the line, it's not this specific plane. There are other planes that can go through those 3 points. So the first one is that there can, if you have 3 non-collinear points, then it can determine a plane. The other is with lines. If I have 2 lines that intersect, then they are coplanar. For example, line ED and line DF. So if I have 2 intersecting lines, then those lines are coplanar. They determine a plane. Next, we're going to talk about endpoints and midpoints. Whenever you have a line segment anywhere, there will always be 2 endpoints. Those are the points still included on the line segment that are the very last points of the line segment on both sides. For example, the endpoints in this diagram would be A and B. They're the points that are at the end of the line segment. Each line segment also has a middle point. It's the point in the exact middle of the line, and that's the midpoint. So the midpoint is the point at the middle of the line segment. And because it's at the middle, we know that the 2 line segments that make up this whole line segment, so I have line segment AB, I also have 2 congruent or equal line segments, AM and MB. Those 2 line segments make up the whole line segment AB. Another way we could determine specific points is what we call a vertex. Now, vertexes show up in lots of areas. One, for example, is on an angle. The vertex is the point where the 2 rays meet. So the 2 endpoints meet at the vertex. The 2 endpoints of the rays meet at the vertex. It can also be where sides meet. So this side, the sides of this solid all meet at a vertex, and there's different vertexes. And if you look at this triangle, each line segment meets at a vertex. So these 2 line segments meet at this point. That's the vertex, one of the vertexes for this shape. Here are the vocabulary definitions for the words we discussed in this PowerPoint. Make sure you stop right here and copy these down in your notebook. They'll definitely be helpful for future reference on assignments and other things as well, especially later on in the course. That's all for this lesson. I hope you can answer these essential questions. If you can't, make sure you go back through and just rewatch the areas you were struggling with. If you need more help, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk you through it. Meet us in Math Cafe. If there's anything, any vocabulary words that you just don't quite understand, please come get help, and we'd love to help you here so that you can build off of it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson on intersections and angles.